The crowds may have thinned at the Hay Festival, but this has become the scene of high literary drama. Ruth Padel, the recently elected Oxford Professor of Poetry, resigned last night. In a very unusual move for the Hay Festival, Ruth Padel called a press conference this morning in which she explained that she felt that she hadn't done anything wrong, but that she had been guilty of naivety and bad judgment. Immediately after the press conference, Ruth Padel gave us an exclusive one-on-one interview in which she explained precisely what had happened. You've acknowledged that you sent an email to 2 journalists alerting them to allegations that Derek Walcott had sexually harassed students in the past. Do you think now that you were guilty of any wrongdoing?
I think I was guilty of a grave error of judgment. It was a naive and a stupid thing to do. I was concerned about the students concerned, because universities are about students. So that's what I was doing. And I think it was a very foolish and indiscreet thing to do. But I didn't at the time believe it was wrong, because all the things I passed to them were in the public domain. They were known for years. It wasn't news. And so in that sense, it wasn't a smear. It was just the cause of the students' concern.
And do you feel that you should apologise to Derek Walcott and indeed to the University of Oxford?
Yes, actually I have already apologised. I apologise to Derek Walcott for doing something which could be misconstrued in the context of a large campaign that had nothing to do with me and which I didn't know about, as being against him. I don't want to be against him. He's my revered colleague. And I do not want him to be humiliated. It's horrible. It was horrible, that campaign. Oh, and I also do want to apologise to the University of Oxford. I love the University of Oxford. It's my it's where I came from, and I love scholarship and learning. And I apologise to them to have done anything that could be misconstrued as something that was indecorous.
When I spoke to the novelist Jeanette Winterson about your resignation, she called Oxford a sexist little dump, and she told me that she believed that you in the end had been forced out by the forces of misogyny, essentially. Do you agree with that?
I don't know about that. The person I was dealing with, the chair of the faculty, was an extremely nice and pleasant woman. And when she told me that there was feeling against me, I instantly said I would like to resign, because I didn't want the university faculty or the faculty to be divided. I don't know who the people are who were against me, so I can't really comment on that. I love that university. I want it to do well.
Do you know in the end who was behind the smear campaign, the 100 or so anonymous letters sent to Oxford academics detailing the allegations that Derek Walcott had sexually harassed students?
I have no idea. When I first heard of it, when the Sunday Times told me and then asked me questions about it, I didn't really actually understand the scale of it. But 100 people, that must have been several people doing it. Who they were, I don't know. I suppose they were somebody who had a vendetta against Walcott, but I did very rapidly start to feel there may well have been a plan to undermine me as well, because nobody in their right minds would think that it would help me to do that, to send those things, and nor would I have wished it. I wished to stand, I was in the ring first, as it happened, and when Derek Walcott joined, I was honoured to be in the same running as him. And I didn't mind whether I won or lost. I wanted to do the work, but I've got lots of other work to do. But I certainly wouldn't have, it's all a terrible and horrible sort of sequence of misdemeanours by people I don't know.
So just to take up that point, to speculate on who it might be who would want to undermine you, it seems a very roundabout way of doing it, given that presumably it couldn't have been Derek Walcott who would have chosen that, or his supporters who would have chosen that particular tool, which leaves one other candidate. Do you think it was Arvind Mehrotra who was trying to undermine you, or his supporters?
I'm absolutely sure not. And also, I don't know, and nobody has actually told me when these things were mailed out, because Arvind Mehrotra joined in quite late. No, I have a feeling it's, I don't know, I thought maybe it was not anything to do with it couldn't have been to do with me personally, at least I hope it wasn't. So I don't know, I just have no idea.
And do you feel, when you talk about the fact that Oxford became divided about your position and whether your position was tenable, do you in fact feel rather betrayed that people didn't rally round you fully enough to uphold your election?
Lots of people did rally round me. I mean, the people I respected really rallied round me. I have had hundreds of emails from people all over the place. And I think nobody who knows me well could have thought I had anything to do with it. Of course, I understand that people who don't know me, in the context of this horrible campaign, large-scale campaign, could have misconstrued things. But for instance, I was very grateful to see that Professor John Carey, whom I hardly know, and who actually was a Walcott supporter, he immediately said, you know, let it lie. It can only, and you know, I was very grateful for that, and I hope that, you know, he respects my work as I respect his. I think in the end it's about respect, and I certainly have learned who I respect.
Do you feel that this episode has brought the University of Oxford, and indeed the Post, and indeed the world of poetry into disrepute? It's all been quite a nasty little affair.
Well, I hope it has not. You know, there have been episodes in the past which were, you know, it's had a turbulent history, this chair, and poetry always does. And poetry is bigger than anything. Poetry can ride it out. I do hope that Derek Walcott has not suffered a lot from this, because it's horrible, and that was the first thing I think the New York Times asked me first of all. You know, I don't wish to see any poet humiliated, not one whose work I love like I love his.
Finally, the University of Oxford has indicated that they will now hold fresh elections. The whole thing will start from scratch. You have ruled out standing again. Would you encourage Derek Walcott to stand again?
Yes, if he wants. Yes, I think he'd do good lectures.